We are fortunate to be gathered here at Quesos Point in Southampton, Bermuda, and thankfully without the attendance of a tropical storm. Before we begin, I would like to invite you to take a moment of reflection for those who could not be here today but are with us in spirit, thought, and memory. Thank you. This is an incredibly joyous day and marks a milestone in the lives of two very dear people to all of us here today. Now, I know many of you may be worried that Chris and Valerie are rushing into things, getting married after only 8 years together. But having lived with them for 2.5 of those 8 years, I can assure you that their love is strong and their devotion is unquestionable. Here's a few reasons why. I met Chris and Valerie in the fall of 2006. We lived together in the bottom floor apartment of their house in Brighton. What immediately struck me about the relationship was how two people could share such a small room and get along so well. Some of you here know the room I'm talking about. For those that don't, let's just say it's close quarters. It's not something I believe every couple could do, and it says something about their compatibility. As I mentioned, I lived with Chris and Valerie for a couple of years. During that time, Chris took a job working nights. On nights that he worked, the routine was pretty much the same. I would get home from work, and Chris would be getting ready to leave. Valerie, being an architect, worked longer, came home later than me. Each night, Chris would wait as long as he could before leaving to give Valerie time to see him briefly before he had to go. And Chris would come home early hours in the morning and go to sleep before Valerie woke up. And on his days off, to add to that, Chris was adjusting from a nocturnal schedule and slept for a good portion of the day. And this went on for a long time. I bring this up because what they went through, I believe, was a test. It was a test of their resolve to make this work, despite the circumstances that were stacked against them. And it was a test that demonstrated the strength of their love. The last thing I'm going to reflect on is learning. It didn't occur to me immediately, but over time, I realized that both Chris and Valerie had learning mindsets. Of course, their learning interests are certainly divergent. Spend one evening eating with Chris, and you'll realize he does not share Valerie's interest in experiencing new foods. Burger, Swiss cheese, only ketchup. And if you look at what's recorded on their TV, it's certain that Chris added all of the political shows. The point is, both Valerie and Chris seek new knowledge and experiences. Learning energizes them, and each other strengthens their relationship. So as we stand here today, sharing in the joy and celebration of Chris and Valerie's union, I'm excited for the chapters of their lives they're about to write, and confident that no matter how tight the situation or challenging the circumstance, they will learn to overcome it and share in many more happy moments like this. For the next part of the celebration, Valerie and Chris have invited a few of their friends and family to share with all of us here today. I would first like to invite up front Vivian and Scott.